Deep in the empty darkness between stars, something ancient stirred. A small red light blinked on for the first time in 500,000 years. Then another, and another. Aboard the massive warship Indomitable systems awakened in careful sequence. Power flowed through long-dormant circuits. Computers ran self-checks. Frozen engines warmed slowly to life. In the command center, frost melted from a single stasis pod. Inside, a man lay perfectly preserved, looking no different than the day he entered his long sleep. Commander John Stone's eyes fluttered open as the preservation fluids drained away. "Status report," he croaked, his voice rough from centuries of disuse. "Welcome back, Commander," replied a calm mechanical voice. "I am main computer. It has been 500,000 years since system hibernation. Emergency protocols activated due to proximity alert." Stone struggled to sit up. His mind worked to process the impossible number. 500,000 years. Everyone he had ever known was dust. Civilizations had risen and fallen. And yet, the ship had kept its vigil. "Proximity alert. Are we under attack?" Stone asked, trying to focus. "Negative. Deep space sensors detected energy signatures matching void entity patterns. Protocol 7 initiated fleet-wide awakening." Stone felt a chill that had nothing to do with the stasis chamber. The void entities, the enemy that had nearly destroyed humanity before the Great Retreat. The reason this mighty fleet had been built and then hidden away as a final defense. "Show me the fleet status," Stone ordered. A large screen flickered to life, showing green dots spread across a three-dimensional star map. 197 vessels, each a marvel of technology, each carrying weapons that could shatter planets. "All ships reporting successful system activation," said main computer. "Stasis revival procedures commencing on command crews." Stone stood on shaky legs and walked to the viewport. Outside, he could see other massive ships drifting in formation. Their dark hulls absorbed starlight, making them look like holes cut in the fabric of space. Each was over a mile long, bristling with weapon ports and sensor arrays. "What about humanity?" Stone asked. "What's become of Earth? Our colonies?" "Data incomplete. Long-range scans detect approximately 12,000 inhabited systems with human-like energy signatures. Genetic diversification appears significant. No unified government detected. No recognition of fleet communications protocols." Stone felt the weight of his responsibility crush down on him. The fleet had been humanity's last hope, hidden away with its terrible weapons and forgotten knowledge. A final card to play if the void ever returned. "They've forgotten us," he whispered. "They've forgotten the war." As if in answer, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the command center. "Alert. Void entity signature detected at coordinates 227 to 45,918. Strength reading exceeds all historical records." Stone straightened his back. 500,000 years meant nothing to the ancient enemy. They existed partially outside normal space-time, patient and terrible. And now they had returned, finding a fractured humanity that no longer remembered how to fight them. "Wake the senior staff," Stone ordered, "and prepare a scout ship. We need to make contact with our descendants and warn them." As more stasis pods began to cycle open around him, Stone stared at the tactical display, showing the distant energy signature. It pulsed like a malevolent heart, growing stronger by the minute. "They're coming," he said to himself. "And this time, we might be humanity's only hope." The ancient fleet, with its forgotten weapons and secrets, had awakened from its long sleep. The final war was about to begin. John Stone stood in the briefing room of the Indomitable facing the small group of officers who had been revived from stasis. Their faces showed the same mix of confusion and disbelief he had felt when first awakening. 500,000 years, said Major Lisa Reed, the fleet's tactical officer. She stared at her hands as if expecting them to have age. "Everyone we knew is gone. Earth itself might not even exist anymore." Stone nodded. The computer says human civilization has spread to thousands of worlds, but they've branched into different subspecies. They don't remember us or why we're here. Dr. Alan Miller, the fleet's chief scientist, looked up from a data tablet. The memory loss isn't surprising. Civilizations rarely maintain historical records beyond a few thousand years without some breaks. But what concerns me is this. He projected a star chart showing a dark, spreading stain at the edge of the galaxy. The void entities have changed their attack pattern, Miller explained. They're more organized now, more focused, and they're consuming stars at an alarming rate. Stone felt a headache building behind his eyes. Since waking, he had struggled with strange gaps in his own memory. Important details seemed just out of reach. "Main computer," he called out. "Access my personal files. I need to remember why I was chosen to lead this fleet." "Accessing restricted memory banks," the computer replied. "Commander Stone was selected due to unique neural patterns resistant to void influence. Your mind contains protected information not stored in ship systems to prevent enemy access." Stone rubbed his temples. "Then why can't I remember it?" "Stasis preservation side effects. Memories will return gradually over 72 hours. The ship's engineer, Thomas West, cleared his throat. "Sir, we have another problem. The fleet was designed to remain dormant for only 10,000 years. Systems are degrading. We're already detecting failures in 23 ships." Stone slammed his fist on the table. "We need to act now, before we lose more capabilities. Dr. Miller, analyze those void patterns. Major Reed, prepare a combat readiness assessment. West, start repairs on critical systems." As the officers left to follow orders, Stone remained alone with his fractured memories. He closed his eyes, trying to force the hidden knowledge to surface. Flashes came to him: a burning Earth, billions dead, the desperate plan to preserve humanity's best weapons and knowledge away from the enemy. The fleet wasn't just a military force. It was an ark carrying the most dangerous secrets of human science. The door hissed open, interrupting his thoughts. A woman in a white uniform entered, Dr. Emma Gray, the fleet's chief medical officer. "Your brain scans show unusual activity," she said without greeting. "The protected memories are trying to resurface, but something's blocking them." Stone looked at her. "What do you remember about the final days, before stasis?" Gray's face darkened. "I remember the experiments, what we did to the volunteers to create weapons against the void. What we did to you. To me." Stone felt cold dread spreading through his body. "You weren't just chosen for your resistance to void influence," Gray said quietly. "You were modified. Your mind contains the key to our most powerful weapon, the one that can actually hurt them permanently." A sudden pain shot through Stone's head. His vision blurred as suppressed memories fought to break through mental barriers. "The Black Sun Protocol," he whispered as the knowledge suddenly clicked into place. "They put it in my head because no computer could be trusted to store it." Gray nodded grimly. "The only weapon that ever truly hurt them. And you're the only one who knows how to activate it." Outside the viewport, the massive fleet drifted in the void, its weapons dormant but ready. Soon, they would make contact with humanity's descendants and face an enemy that had grown stronger during their long sleep. Stone stared into the darkness of space, the terrible knowledge of the Black Sun Protocol now awake in his mind. The weapon that could save humanity, or destroy it completely. The scout ship Pathfinder dropped out of faster-than-light travel, near the edge of a solar system teeming with activity. Commander Stone stood on the bridge, watching as sensors detected thousands of ships moving between planets and space stations. "We've found them," said Major Reed, studying the displays. "A major human settlement. The computer identifies it as the Helios system, capital of something called the Stellar Covenant." Stone nodded, feeling the strange mix of hope and worry. Open communications, standard greeting protocol. For several minutes there was no response. Then the communication screen flickered to life. A face appeared, mostly human, but with subtle differences. Slightly larger eyes, paler skin, and a completely hairless head. Unknown vessel, the being said in a language that their translation computers struggled to interpret. You have entered Covenant space without authorization. Identify yourselves immediately. Stone stepped forward. I am Commander John Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Pathfinder *. We come with urgent news and seek audience with your leaders. The being's large eyes widened further. Earth, the mythical homeworld. Disbelief was clear in its voice. Earth is a legend, and your ship design is unknown to our databases. Earth was real, Stone replied, and we have been in stasis for 500,000 years, preserved along with our fleet to warn humanity when a specific threat returned. That threat is now active again. The communication cut off abruptly. For nearly an hour, they waited in tense silence. Finally, the screen activated again. A different being appeared, wearing elaborate decorative clothing that suggested high authority. I am High Counselor Vex of the Stellar Covenant, the figure announced. Your claims are extraordinary. You will proceed to our orbital station for verification and discussion. Any deviation will be considered hostile action. Stone had no choice but to agree. 4 sleek escort ships surrounded the Pathfinder * as they approached a massive ring-shaped station orbiting the system's 4th planet. When they docked, Stone and a small team were met by armed guards. Their weapons looked nothing like the ones Stone knew, but their purpose was clear enough. We mean no harm, Stone said, raising his hands. We only bring mourning. The guards led them through massive corridors filled with beings of clearly human descent, though many showed signs of adaptation to different environments, some taller and thinner, others more compact, with skin colors ranging from deep blue to metallic gold. Finally, they reached a circular chamber where 7 figures sat at a raised panel. High Counselor Vex was at the center. Our scans confirm your vessel is of extremely ancient design, Vex said without preamble. Your physical structure matches ancestral human baseline, but your claims of a fleet and ancient threat require proof. Stone gestured to Dr. Miller, who activated a small projector. It displayed recordings of the void entities from the old war, darkness that moved with purpose, consuming light, matter, and energy. 500,000 years ago, these beings nearly destroyed humanity, Stone explained. They feed on consciousness itself. They cannot be reasoned with or understood. We built our fleet as a last defense and hid it between the galaxy's arms, waiting and watching. One of the counselors leaned forward. Stories of darkness between stars exist in our oldest legends, but we have seen no evidence of such beings. Because they've been dormant, like us, Stone replied. But now they're awake. Our sensors detected them consuming stars at the galaxy's edge. They will be here within months. The council members exchanged glances, clearly skeptical. Then an alarm blared through the station. A communications officer rushed into the chamber. High Counselor, we've lost contact with the Proxima colony. All signals went dead simultaneously. The last transmission reported, darkness spreading across the planet. The room fell silent. Stone met Vex's suddenly fearful gaze. It's beginning, Stone said quietly. The void has returned, and only our fleet stands a chance against it. Vex stood, his previous skepticism replaced by grim determination. Tell us everything about this enemy, and about this fleet of yours. The massive war dreadnought Indomitable moved into position above Proxima Colony, its dark hull blocking out the stars. 6 other ships from the ancient fleet formed a defensive perimeter around the planet. On the bridge, Commander Stone watched the main view screen with growing dread. Magnify that area, he ordered, pointing to a spreading darkness on the planet's surface. The image zoomed in to show a black, oil-like substance flowing across the landscape. Where it touched, matter simply ceased to exist. Buildings, forests, and oceans disappeared into the void. At the edges, Stone could see tiny figures, people, running in panic. Status report, Stone demanded. Void entity concentration at 70% and rising, replied Dr. Miller, his face pale as he studied the readings. It's larger than any we faced in the old war. The entire colony will be consumed within hours. High Counselor Vex stood rigidly beside Stone, watching his world die. The Stellar Covenant leader had insisted on coming aboard to witness the ancient fleet in action after evacuating as many colonists as possible. You said your ships can fight this thing, Vex said, his voice trembling slightly. Then fight it. Stone nodded grimly. Major Reed, prepare the phase cannons. Engineer West, charge the dimensional anchors. All ships, move to attack formation Delta. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency despite their centuries-long sleep. Stone felt the deep vibration as the Asterisk Indomitables, Asterisk main weapons powered up. Technology forgotten by modern humanity. There's something you should understand, Stone told Vex as they prepared to attack. The Void isn't just destroying your colony. It's feeding on the consciousness of every being it absorbs. Their minds become part of it. Vex's large eyes widened. Those are my people down there. And that's why we must act quickly, Stone replied. Once absorbed, they're gone forever. The Void grows stronger with each mind it takes. On the planet below, the darkness had covered nearly half the surface. Strange patterns formed within it, shapes that hurt the eyes to look upon, geometries that shouldn't exist in normal space. All ships report ready, announced Major Reed. Dimensional anchors at full power. Stone took a deep breath. Fire. 7 beams of impossibly bright light erupted from the fleet, converging on the spreading darkness below. Where they touched, the Void seemed to scream. Not a sound, but a feeling that made everyone on the bridge wince in pain. The anchors are working, called Dr. Miller. They're forcing the entity to remain in our dimension where our weapons can affect it. The Void writhed under the assault, tendrils of darkness lashing out toward the ships. One tendril struck a smaller vessel in the fleet, the Asterisk Vigilant Asterisk. Its shields flared blue for a moment, then failed. The darkness enveloped the ship. We've lost the Asterisk Vigilant Asterisk, Reed reported, her voice hollow. All hands lost. Stone's jaw tightened. Intensify fire on the mainmass. Don't let it regroup. The remaining ships poured energy into the attack. The darkness began to contract, pulling back from the edges of the colony. For a moment, Stone allowed himself to hope. Then the Void did something unexpected. It formed a perfect sphere and shot upward, directly toward the Asterisk Indomitable Asterisk. Evasive action, Stone shouted. The massive warship tried to turn, but its ancient engines couldn't move quickly enough. The sphere of darkness struck the lower decks. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Hull breach on decks 12 through 17, the computer reported calmly. Void entity penetrating internal spaces. Stone turned to Vex, whose face showed terror and awe in equal measure. Now you see what we're facing. This is just one entity, a scout. There are thousands more coming. How do we stop them? Vex whispered. With great sacrifice, Stone replied, activating the ship's internal defenses. Engineer West, prepare the quantum purge. We need to cleanse the lower decks. West hesitated for only a moment before entering the commands. Purge ready, sir. Stone closed his eyes briefly. Execute. A silent flash of energy swept through the lower decks, completely erasing everything in its path. The Void, the ship's structure, and the crew members who had been trapped there. Entity neutralized, Miller reported, but at a cost of 20% of the ship and 47 crew. Stone looked at the stunned Vex. This is the war we've returned to fight. Tell your people to prepare. The real battle hasn't even begun. The remaining ships of the ancient fleet hung in orbit around what was left of Proxima Colony. Commander Stone stood at the viewport, watching as Covenant rescue ships searched for survivors. Most of the planet's surface had been reduced to barren rock where the Void entity had touched it. Commander, I think I found something. Dr. Miller said, looking up from his workstation. Before the Vigilant asterisk was lost, it transmitted a data packet. It contained coordinates and a single word: archive. Stone felt a jolt of recognition. Another memory fragment clicked into place in his mind. The Omega Archive, he said slowly. I remember now. Before we entered stasis, we hid our most valuable research in a secure location. Where? Asked Major Reed. A red dwarf system, far from any habitable worlds. We placed it there because the star would remain stable for billions of years. High Counselor Vex, who had remained aboard the Indomitable Asterisk as liaison to the Covenant, joined the conversation. If this archive contains information about fighting the Void, we must retrieve it immediately. More colonies have reported strange energy readings at their borders. Stone nodded. Plot a course to these coordinates. The Indomitable Asterisk will go alone. The rest of the fleet should remain here to protect Covenant space. 20 hours later, the massive warship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a small, dim red star. There were no planets, only a sparse asteroid belt. I don't see any installation, Reed said, scanning the system. You wouldn't, Stone replied. It was designed to be invisible. He moved to the command console and entered a series of codes from memory. Broadcast on this frequency. Moments passed in silence. Then, suddenly, one of the larger asteroids shimmered and changed. What had appeared to be a lifeless rock transformed into a sleek metallic structure. Optical camouflage, Engineer West said with admiration. Still functioning after all this time. They docked with the hidden station. Stone led a small team inside, including Vex, who insisted on coming. The air was stale but breathable. Emergency lights activated as they moved deeper into the facility. What exactly are we looking for? Vex asked, looking around at the ancient technology. The truth, Stone answered simply. They reached a circular chamber at the heart of the station. Stone placed his hand on a scanning panel, and a holographic display flickered to life. A woman's face appeared, looking remarkably similar to Dr. Gray. Genetic authentication accepted, the hologram said. Welcome, Commander Stone. If you are viewing this message, then the Void has returned as we feared. Who is that? Whispered Vex. Dr. Elizabeth Gray. Stone replied quietly. Emma's sister. She was the lead scientist on the Void research project. The hologram continued. This archive contains everything we learned about the enemy. But I must tell you the truth that was hidden even from most of our own people. The ancient fleet was never meant to win the war against the Void. A shocked silence fell over the group. Our weapons can hurt them, slow them down, but not destroy them completely. The fleet's true purpose was preservation, to ensure that knowledge of how to fight the Void would survive until humanity could develop a permanent solution. The hologram gestured, and complex schematics appeared beside her. This is the Nexus Gate, theoretical when we entered stasis, but the only real hope for permanent victory. It can seal the dimensional rifts the Void entities use to enter our universe. Building it will require resources beyond what our fleet possessed, and technology we hoped humanity would develop during our long sleep. Stone stared at the schematics, another memory surfacing. The Black Sun Protocol in my mind. It's part of this, isn't it? Yes, the hologram answered, seemingly responding to his question across the centuries. Your neural patterns contain the activation codes and dimensional mathematics too dangerous to store in any computer. You are the key, Commander Stone. You always were. Vex stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the schematics. My people have technologies you couldn't have imagined. If we combine them with your ancient knowledge, then we might have a chance, Stone finished for him. But we'll need more than just the Covenant. We'll need all of humanity's descendants, everywhere. As if in answer, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Dr. Miller checked his portable scanner. Multiple Void signatures detected, moving toward Covenant space. It's a full-scale invasion. Stone looked at the hologram of Elizabeth Gray, then at the schematics of the Nexus Gate. Download everything. We have a galaxy to unite, and not much time to do it. The Grand Council chamber of the Stellar Covenant buzzed with tension. Representatives from 12 different human subspecies sat around a massive circular table, their differences more apparent up close. Some had adapted to high-gravity worlds with stocky, powerful builds. Others from low-light planets had enormous eyes. The water-dwelling Awakens had gills along their necks. Commander Stone stood at the center, facing their suspicious stares. Behind him, the holographic plans for the Nexus Gate rotated slowly. The void entities have already consumed 3 more colonies, Stone said, his voice firm. Your combined fleet has failed to stop them. We need to build this device, and we need to do it now. A tall, thin representative with silvery skin stood up. The Star Dominion does not recognize Covenant authority. Why should we commit our resources to this fantasy weapon designed by extinct humans? Because the void will not stop with the Covenant, Stone replied. It will consume every mind in the galaxy, your people included. High Counselor Vex raised his hand for calm. The ancient fleet has already proven its worth in battle. Without Commander Stone's ships, we would have lost 5 systems instead of 3. Another delegate spoke up, a woman with 4 arms, adapted for the microgravity environments of the asteroid settlements. The gate requires materials only found in Dominion space and technology unique to the free worlds. We would need to work together in ways we never have before. Arguments erupted around the table. Old rivalries and grudges, territorial disputes, and cultural differences threatened to tear apart any hope of cooperation. Stone watched with growing despair as humanity's descendants bickered while extinction approached. Dr. Emma Gray stepped forward suddenly. There may be another way to convince them, she said quietly to Stone. The memory-sharing technology we developed for the fleet crews, we could adapt it. That's experimental and dangerous, Stone replied. So is extinction, Gray countered. Stone considered for a moment, then nodded. He raised his voice over the arguing delegates. There are no words I can say to make you understand what we face, so let me show you instead. Dr. Gray activated a small device. Projectors around the room hummed to life. This is a neural imprint sharing system, Stone explained. It will allow you to experience my memories of the First Void War, to see what Earth faced before your ancestors scattered to the stars. Before anyone could object, the system activated. The room fell silent as shared memories flowed into the minds of every delegate. They saw Earth's cities being consumed by living darkness. They felt the terror of billions as their world died. They witnessed the desperate last stand and the decision to hide the fleet as a final hope. When the memory share ended, many delegates were weeping. Others sat in stunned silence. The silver-skinned representative of the Star Dominion slowly stood. My people will contribute everything we can to build this Nexus Gate, he said quietly. One by one, the other delegates made similar commitments. Ancient enemies pledged to work together. Resources were allocated. Shipyards were reproposed. As the council session ended, Engineer West approached Stone with a data tablet. Sir, more fleet systems are failing. We've lost 3 more ships to critical power failures. The old tech just wasn't designed to last this long. Stone nodded grimly. Keep as many operational as you can. We'll need every ship for what's coming. High Counselor Vex joined them, his face solemn. Construction of the Nexus Gate has begun at the galactic core. But our long-range probes show void activity increasing exponentially. They seem to know what we're planning. They do, Stone confirmed. The void exists partially outside normal spacetime. It can sense threats to its existence. How long until the gate is ready? Asked Major Reed. 3 months, at best, Vex replied. Stone looked at the star map, showing the spreading darkness. We don't have 3 months. The main void force will be here in weeks. Then what do we do? Asked Vex. Stone's face hardened with determination. We buy time. We take the fleet and hit them directly at their point of entry into our dimension. Not to win, just to slow them down. That's a suicide mission, Reed said quietly. Stone looked around at his ancient crew, then at the diverse descendants of humanity who had finally united. Maybe, but if humanity survives, it will be worth it. The War Council ended as preparations began for humanity's last, desperate gamble against the darkness between stars. The ancient fleet, now reduced to 36 ships, moved through space toward the massive dimensional tear. Through this cosmic wound, the void entities poured into our universe like dark water through a broken dam. The tear itself was beautiful in a terrible way, a shimmering black hole surrounded by swirling colors that shouldn't exist. On the bridge of the Indomitable Asterisk, Commander Stone watched the tactical display with grim determination. Behind him stood representatives from each human subspecies, there to witness humanity's last stand. "All ships report ready for battle," said Major Reed, her voice steady despite the fear everyone felt. "The Nexus Gate is at 70% completion. We need to hold the void here for at least 2 more weeks." Stone nodded. "Deploy the dimensional anchors. All ships form a sphere around the breach point. Fire on my command." The remaining fleet moved into position, spreading out to surround the dimensional tear. Each ship activated its anchors, devices that forced the void to remain within normal space where weapons could harm it. "Sir," called Dr. Miller from his science station, "I'm detecting something strange. The void. It's changing shape, forming a pattern I've never seen before." On the main screen, the darkness from the breach gathered itself into a massive structure. It looked almost like a hand reaching toward the fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," Stone shouted, but it was too late. The dark hand swept through space, catching 3 ships and crushing them instantly. No explosions, no debris. They simply ceased to exist. "It's learning," said Engineer West in horror. "Adapting to our tactics." Stone thought quickly. "Change formation. Pattern Omega. All ships, focus fire on the center mass." The fleet regrouped and fired their phase cannons simultaneously. Beams of energy struck the darkness, causing it to recoil and fragment. For a moment, it seemed they might have heard it. Then the fragments reformed, each becoming a separate entity. Where there had been one massive void, now there were dozens. "Sir," Reed's voice was tight. "We can't fight them all." Stone's mind raced. Another memory surfaced, the final piece of the Black Sun Protocol locked in his mind. He looked at Dr. Gray, who nodded slightly. She knew what he was thinking. "There's only one way," Stone said quietly. "We need to activate the gate now, before it's fully ready." "That's impossible," said the Aquan representative. "The power requirements." "The Indomitable Asterisk can provide the power," Stone interrupted. "If we overload our core and detonate it precisely at the breach point, the energy release should be enough to jump-start the gate." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone understood what this meant. "Get to the escape pods," Stone ordered the representatives. "Return to your people. Tell them what happened here." The engineer from the asteroid colony spoke up. "I'm staying. My people can survive higher radiation. I can help modify the core." Others volunteered as well, one from each subspecies. Humanity united at last, in its final hour. "The rest of the fleet will escort you back," Stone told those leaving. "The Indomitable Asterisk will finish this alone." As the representatives departed, Stone opened a channel to all remaining ships. "This is Commander Stone. For 500,000 years, we kept our vigil. Today, we fulfill our purpose. The fleet will escort our allies to safety. The Indomitable Asterisk will close the breach. It has been my honor to serve with you all." The fleet acknowledged the order and began to withdraw, fighting defensive actions against the pursuing void fragments. The Indomitable Asterisk turned and accelerated directly toward the dimensional tear. On the bridge, Stone, Gray, and the volunteers from each human subspecies worked frantically to modify the ship's power core. "Core overload in 60 seconds, announced West. Stone opened a channel to the partially completed Nexus Gate. Prepare to activate on my signal. As the Indomitable Asterisk plunged toward the breach, void entities swarmed around it, sensing the threat. The ship shuddered under their attacks. Systems failed. Hull breaches spread across multiple decks. 30 seconds, called Gray. Stone closed his eyes, accessing the Black Sun protocol in his mind. Complex equations and activation codes flowed through his consciousness. Transmitting activation sequence now, he said, sending the code to the Nexus Gate. The ship entered the breach, surrounded by hungry darkness. 10 seconds, West called, his voice calm. Stone looked around at the bridge crew, the last survivors of old Earth and representatives of humanity's new branches, working together to save a galaxy. It was worth it, he said simply. The Indomitable's core detonated, releasing energy equivalent to a small sun. At the same moment, the Nexus Gate activated, using that power to seal the dimensional tear. Across the galaxy, humans of all subspecies watched as a brilliant flash lit up the stars. The breach collapsed, taking the void with it. Where the ancient fleet had made its final stand, only stars remained. But on 1,000 worlds, the descendants of Earth remembered their common origin and the sacrifice that had saved them all. The war that began 500,000 years ago was finally over.